ITRBoxing. You heard it here first. Pretty cool videos. And I heard they're also in HD. ITRBoxing.com.
What's up, everybody? It's your man Lukey, and I'm here with another overqualified guest, an executive. So we got Brittany Goossen Brown. Hopefully, I said that right. Somehow I say basic names wrong. So
no, yeah, it's Brittany. No, I'm kidding. You got it right. It's a simple one. Yeah.
Hitting the Earl Spence on you or the Derek James. So I guess I'll just get into this and we'll just very basic, boring ass question. How'd you get into the situation you're in?
Well, I was born into it, so I didn't have much choice. You know, my dad has worked with my uncles forever and ever. We had the 10 Goose boxing gym out in Van Nuys, still do. I think their first champion was ever Michael Nunn. Then we had the Ruelas brothers. So I was born into boxing. It was years and years and years. And somehow they bamboozled me into getting it to myself. And now here I am 5 years later with PBC, TGB, and doing it on Christmas.
So well, I guess I can't say late great. Like the great Beanie Siegel once said, you were born in, not sworn in.
That is a perfect, that will have to be on my tombstone.
Okay, well, I mean, I'm glad I could contribute to something in your life. So even if it's just a tiny thing.
I mean, that's a pretty big thing.
I mean, shoot, I'm glad to be in the door, you know? So, so what are some issues that you face during fight week that most people wouldn't understand? Like from logistics to just like, as we were saying, setting up Zoom calls with fighters who don't understand the way Zoom works. What are the things you're facing?
I mean, in the real world, in our old worlds, I guess, there was always some kind of issues that would pop up, but most of those were a fighter wasn't making weight or their flight got canceled or a medical came back wrong and they weren't able to fight, and that would be like catastrophic. But now in this bubble world, I mean, the testing, like I just got tested too. They're all downstairs testing right now. You know, they go in shifts, just having to bubble it off, having to have the hotel where the elevators only operate to a certain floor where they're scanned. We're scanned at every little station you pass, contact tracing. There's a lot of work that went into it. Now it feels like we kind of got it rolling. I mean, we've done like a show a week, it seems, since August, but I mean, logistically, it's hard. It's a nightmare, and it's financially, it's costly. This is expensive to be able to keep everyone safe and do it this way. I mean, in an hour, I'll be doing knock and drops for drop-offs of food to everyone's room, you know? So everyone pitches in every way they can. And the end result is we've haven't, knock on wood, thank God, we're almost done. But, you know, we haven't had any kind of big fallout of like a main event or anything like that. We've been able to put all these shows on and get these guys exposure, get people paid. You know, there's a lot of people other than just the boxers. Think about these venues and the hotel staff and airlines. I mean, there's so many people affected by athletes in a sporting event anyway, that it feels good that we're able to do something and generate some revenue for a lot of different industries.
Job provider.
I mean, add it to the resume. No, but really, because I did get into a fight with someone on Twitter at the beginning of all of this, because they were talking badly about the MLB. I know, I can't even, I've never responded, and I just saw it and just hit me the wrong way, because they were like, these athletes are overpaid, we can go a year without sports. And I was like, that's a very ignorant thing to say, because you don't understand what a big, like MLB especially, from the people, the ticket takers to the custodians, the concession stand employees, the camera operators, the people who set up the cameras, the people who set up, you know, the locker rooms, there's endless amount of people that are affected by what the athletes are doing. That's just what you see. The trickle is like wild. So this has been a trying year, and it's been hard, and a lot of people are out of jobs, and we're just lucky that we figured out a way to make sure we're able to do ours.
Yeah,
And a little entertainment for people because they're stuck at home. What else is there to do right now? Watch some good fights, you know?
I mean, shoot, add that to the list of like Christmas carols, eggnog, good fights. Like, I mean, there's a limited option. I was gonna say, like, basically, Twitter is a good place to get into an argument because reason and logic don't really seem to exist on that platform.
What's up with it? I don't really go on there often, and somehow that just popped up for me, and I was just like, I usually have some restraint, but I didn't that day.
What I feel it is there's, and I could go deep on it, but you know what? I'll go deep on it on this whatever night it is. Think it's people being anonymous, people being able to form kind of groups that they can group think with each other because Twitter kind of the algorithm works so like people see each other's stuff and it's the words and they can kind of like attach and attack. So I feel like the trick to Twitter is to put out content that like both has those groups positive and negative and then it just floods to the top.
Well, that makes sense, but yeah, people love to they're really ballsy when they're anonymous, aren't they?
Yeah, but I mean, that's when you send a text, where you at?
Yeah, I've been down that path too. I know I used to be like, one of my wishes, if I had 3 wishes, would be to read people's minds. It's like, then I got Facebook and Twitter and I don't want to read anyone's minds.
Yeah,
I don't.
That'd be a waste of a wish.
Yeah, waste of a wish. I want it back. I don't want to know what anyone's opinion on anything is anymore.
So what is it like spending Christmas in a bubble?
So far it just seems like any other day. But I mean, last year too, I was flying, had just landed on Christmas Day in Atlanta. We had the Gervonta fight, Gervonta Gamboa. So I guess, I mean, boxing, there's no season. So I'm okay. I can still order something good from the bubble cafeteria, but these guys who have to make weight and will be weighing in on Christmas Day, that's sacrifice. So Christmas 2020 has been a weird year anyway. We'll celebrate Christmas next week with our families and do it that way.
I mean, you're talking to someone where I spend pretty much every Christmas in a hotel and I'm playing Pebble Beach on Christmas. So like for me, it's not that like weird of a thought, but
I mean, I'm sure it'd be more enjoyable if we were able to kind of celebrate together and, we have to still keep that distance in here. So, but that's for a worthy cause, I guess. I mean, it's worth it. It'll be fine. We'll make Christmas Day. We don't have to be like the regular people and celebrate Christmas regularly.
Some stuff for the fight fans. What's the most memorable fight that stands out to you? And it doesn't even have to be a big fight, but what was the fight that you were involved with that you will always remember and why?
I think it has to be Mayweather McGregor, because that was like a coming together of two worlds, and the MGM was wild that weekend. There was a lot of work that went into it, but afterwards, I think we're all like, it will go down in history. That was crazy. I mean, now people are trying to do things with these YouTube stars and stuff, but it was a huge, huge, huge thing to be part of, and it was awesome. Now looking back.
Well, I mean, it opened the door, if you think about it, for that to happen.
It did. It started out. And that was, you had those like wild Irish, like UFC fan base or MMA, whatever it is. And then you had like our diehard boxing fan base. So you had both of the crazy worlds coming together at the MGM at the same time. And it was a lot of fun.
What do you remember a particular moment in particular? Because it sounds like that was like a moment filled event.
Yeah. I mean, there are I do remember that the weigh-in was kind of early and that bar was already filled with Irish people, like getting ready for the weigh-in. I think there was just like little things. Now I look back and I like think about it and I'm like, oh my gosh, I wish I would have kind of slowed down during it and really taking that moment to be like, wow, this is huge. And this is like going to be a historical event. Like it's massive what they're doing. But like, I was just so rushed, you know how it goes during fight week. And we came together with the UFC to pull that off, and they were a great team. They're a well-oiled machine. It was smooth for the most part, but there was just so many moving pieces that I was so busy that I didn't really have like a second to be like, wow, look at this. This is crazy.
Well, I don't know you, but you come off as like a hard worker, and I'm like a workaholic. And it's hard for me when there's a task at hand to go, this is so cool. It's like,
Yeah.
someone's going to create a new problem for me. So let me go to where this person that creates a problem is so I can get ahead of that. And then I got to go here and then I got to go there. So I'm picturing that's what that week was like for you.
Yeah. And it was crazy because that was the first time we rolled out those, the credentials that you had to keep on the whole time and like scan everywhere. And it was chaos, but a good kind of chaos now and looking back.
Talk me through that, because I've never had that credential. How do you take a shower with a credential on?
You can shower with it. You can get wet.
Okay.
It's just on your, not like a paper one. It was one of those, I guess, what is that? They're like fabric, but it was fine. I mean, a lot of people were like weird about it and like kept outside, but you did not want to lose that thing. You did not want it to fall off because there's no replacing it.
Yeah, I mean, that is a big
Hot commodity there.
I was gonna say, I can imagine someone possibly getting jumped in a bathroom for one of those wristbands.
Yeah, it wasn't me, thank God.
What's the weirdest last second request for a ticket that you've gotten?
For a ticket? I mean, that happens all the time though. Like the fights will almost be over. It will be like the 9th round of like a 12-round main event. And someone will be like, my tickets are at the box office. And it's like, no, the box office is closed. Like the fights, like you're done. Like there's no, what do you want your ticket for now? It doesn't even make sense. But for the most part, people have been pretty good at starting to ask me way ahead of time when we like announce a big fight. That's when I get a lot of friends.
I feel like that's like the promoters, like the MO is like the 2 days before the fight. Hey, do you got my floor seats?
I know, like, hey, I have a business partner. They have to be good. It's like, okay, www.aeg.com. Some good ones left. Have a good day. No, but I mean, some of these tickets are so hard to come by that like I make an announcement on my Instagram like before, like not this one, everyone, not this one. If you don't want to come to Robinson Rancheria up north for
I've
a little
been
off card, but you want to, yeah, you have, no, then I don't have anything for you for this one.
Here's my rule of thumb is chances are if you want to go to the fight, you have to pay for the fight unless you're going to it. If you don't really if you're not that interested, you can probably go.
Yeah. But I'll say
yeah,
that this whole COVID thing, I think, and not having fans in attendance, which it sucks because that vibe is just so much better when they are. That's why Texas shows have been fun. But I do think there's less distraction for the fighters in a lot of ways with the bubble set up too. They're not worried about like their family getting tickets or like where they'll be sitting or like where this or like, did their mom's hotel rooms, blah, 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 is she okay? And like, do they fly in all right? There's really, they can't go to a restaurant. They can't go to the mall. They're kind of stuck there thinking like they have to just be in the zone of the fight. And I think we've seen some crazy knockouts and some big things. And I have to say that I think a lot of it has to do with the lack of distraction. They're solely focused on their fight.
Yeah, I've been to a couple of fights where you got like what I call the Miho syndrome, where the whole family's around and they're going here and there. And
Right.
you're just like, there's like 40 people behind this one fighter and only 3 people are going into the press conference. Like you guys are just going to be sitting here. And it just feels like a little too much. I know you're trying to join on the journey, but Friday and Saturday is a great time to come.
Right. And like even now that Friday and Saturday, they're just after they weigh in and after they make weight and they go back to the room, they have their meal and nothing. There's no distractions whatsoever, no outside distractions. So I do think there's some parts of like this COVID world that I can see have been positive.
Okay, well, I'm glad you always look for the positive in things. What fighter would light up a room when they enter one of these promotional outfits or the bubble that you guys put on? Is there a fighter that comes to your mind that does that?
Adrian Broner. He's always interesting, colorful. He's fun. Like, he's always going to say something that's just going to make everyone be like, you know, I love Adrian. So I'd have to say AB. He always keeps it entertaining. You have to give him that.
Well, I mean, Broner's a guy that I've always kind of looked at, and he seems like a complicated character because it feels like it's so easy if you don't know him to read him as just one thing. But like life, he's probably a multi-layered, complicated person.
Yeah, he's also very witty. I think he's got quick wit. I mean, think about the things he says when he's like just up there, just on a whim. Like, it's just quick. He's a funny guy. He's actually very personable. He's very likable. I don't know why he rubs people the wrong way online in the social media world, but you interview, they love him because he gives you content. He's funny. He's a good, and you know, when he's on, he's on.
Well, I think part of it is like he is trying to kind of generate a reaction to make people kind of upset at times. Like sometimes I think he's saying things knowing that like he's got a sarcastic sense of humor. He's kind of joking around, and I think people sometimes look at what he's saying literally.
Yeah, you can't be sensitive with AB. He's gonna, but I think every time he's around, it's always a fun time.
Do you have a good AB story where like that's personified?
Oh gosh, I have so many with Adrian. I guess not one specifically. No, I mean, I've had some funny times with Adrian, but nothing that anyone would find very interesting.
It's more like just kind of like how we're chatting, and then it's like there was
Right.
like some funny moments, and then you're like, well, you know,
I'll say something and he'll have like some like quick response that's pretty like that I'll have to like think about for a second and then be like, oh my God. And you know, he's very, like I said, quick-witted, very quick-witted.
no wonder why he's a rapper. That makes sense. He's good with his words.
Yeah. Yes, he actually is. Think about the things he's just like pulled off and said just out of, you know, if he's teed up, he's going. So
there was a fighter who lived near me who fought him a long time ago, and I remember how they disliked him because of what you're saying. He was so fast. They'd say something like, we're gonna beat you up, and he just had a response like so fast, and they didn't have the response back, and they just get more and more mad.
Yeah, no, he's sharp. He's fast on it too. I like it. It's funny because it's kind of got my sense of humor in a certain way.
Oh, so you would you say that you're the female AB?
No. Don't say that. I can't back it up either. He can. No, but he's definitely got like, he has a sarcastic like flair to him, which, you know, I do too. And a lot of people don't know if I'm joking or being serious. And it's kind of the same thing.
Okay, I get that. You know, I'm just I don't know what I am, but the Charlo brothers, you've worked around or with them since basically their infancy to pay-per-view stardom. How has that been? Because you basically get to see someone go from the beginning to the top.
I was thinking about that, you know, I was with my younger sister, she's 17. We were watching the Spence and Danny fight, and like she was asking me, she's like, do you feel like you like grew up with them? Like she meant Danny and Errol at that time. And I was like, yeah, actually I do, because I've seen them just like become these superstars. I was like, same with the Charlos. Like I've just watched them from being, we were all kind of younger kids starting out in this, and like now to see what I mean, their GQ cover, they're just, they're killing it, and they're backing it up. You know, that knockout, whew, that was crazy. I mean, they're proving themselves, and I'm like, sometimes have to take a minute. I'm very impressed, just like, you know, because they're just like friends to me at this point too, that I sometimes forget, like, look what you guys have done. Like, this is wild and so good. And just, and they're not done. I mean, they're going to take over a lot more, both of them.
No, and I'm not doubting that. I
No,
actually I think they're good for everything. Like I just
they're-
think they're the way they talk, the way they fight. I just think that you need more people like that because what I appreciate about them is they seem sincere. Like it could come off, but it seems like everything they say they mean and they're trying
yeah,
to say it as best as they can at that moment. And sometimes they might be rattled up because it's fight week, but you could die in a fight. So I don't hold that against anyone.
exactly. Exactly. Like people don't understand that this isn't, not to just take anything away from football and baseball. And I love both of those sports, but every time these guys, they could have all of our fighters, they could have an entourage around them, any fighter. I mean, they can have all these people around them, but when that bell rings, it's you and they're alone. And that's got to be a scary thing because this isn't, you know, any other sport. This you can die. Like you could lose your life in there. So it's got to be what's going through their head has to be so wild the whole week leading up to the fight. That and then making weight. Ugh, I'm cranky when I'm not eating carbs. So like I get it, but I'm never ever offended by anything if any of our fighters say anything like rude during. I'm like, I get it. I get it. They don't mean it. They're in a different headspace. It's just their mind is got to be just going crazy and just wanting to get into that ring and get it done. So, but the Charlos, they're actually really good during fight week. I get along. They're so nice. They're very professional. I know they say things probably like to their opponent or whatever, but
I don't mind that because you're not supposed to be buddy. Like they just
that's
seem
part
they
of the job.
just they seem like they mean what they say and they seem like if you treat them like a normal person and reasonable, they're going to be totally reasonable professionals. It seems like
Yeah,
the only issues I've ever seen is some snarky guy that probably has like some flexible hour job shows up to a media day and says something about something weird and then that's the clip that gets circulated is like, hey,
right.
are you going to fight Golovkin? And Golovkin's not even under this promotional entity. He's not even near where they're fighting, but you're saying this and then you're starting to get disrespectful and they say something funny. And then it's like, look at what he did.
Right. It's like they want, that's what they want though. They want that clickbait of like that kind of issue anyway. And, I would probably snap too. There's only so much a person can take, but like both Jamal and Mal, they're like my friends. I consider them good friends at this point. I am, I'm in awe of what they're both doing and what they're both accomplishing. I mean, to be twins and like that already like is crazy that there's two of them doing it and like to have their first pay-per-view and the fact that they both got to headline it. I mean, that's just I can't wait to see what they do next. I hope we all just keep moving up and growing together.
No, they're there for a long time. Like
I
unless
mean, I hope I stay
of
growing
course.
as though I know they're going to be moving up. I hope they take me with them.
Okay. I was gonna ask you, okay, you hit me with the sarcasm. So do you consider yourself a lion?
Yeah, of course.
Ooh.
Team Charlotte, Lions only.
Okay,
LA.
okay, I like that. I like that. So I don't know, give me some thoughts on Errol Spence. He just had a big fight and all that
He,
stuff.
he did. Yeah, I mean, what have you seen that footage of that crash?
Yeah, that was the Fast and the Furious, and then I realized it was his life.
I mean, isn't that it's what I think it was like a week and a half after he fought out here at Staples across the street, and how fast life can go. You could be a champion of the world, and the next week, he could be God. He could have. The fact that he survived that is just. I don't like to say blessed. I'm like so cliche, but that he is blessed. He is here for a reason, and yeah, he had a little bit of ring rust in the fight, and Danny's no chump. I mean, that was a tough fight to come back to. That's ballsy to take on Danny after you're recovering from an accident of that magnitude, but he looked good and he's nothing stopping him either. The car accident will never be an excuse that he could use. I mean, thank God he's good and he's back and I can't wait to see what he does next.
I'm fond of Earl because as a country guy myself that grew up in
Okay.
country places, I love hearing him talk because he reminds me of people I grew up with, where he'll be
Yeah.
like, "Oh man," like he'll
Hey,
just say.
Derek's got that too, that drow.
But Derek's like more like he's almost like a Yoda. He's like a like Clint Eastwood in The Horse Whisperer. He's got like this calmness to him
Uh,
where even if he's got that, it's like there's something so like reassuring and calm. He could take you into any space and I'd feel
true.
confident with him. Whereas Errol almost feels like this in shape, treacherous young man who can do anything, but he's so sweet and lovable when he talks. It's like,
Really. And I've known him forever too. And watching him, look what I really did have to take like a minute after all that because I was just like, wow, like, I didn't know what anyone was going to amount to when I first got into TGB too with my dad, and just, they were all just like fun kids to me. And like now to see they're superstars, it's crazy. I'm, like I said, I'm in awe a lot of times. I'm like, wow, like, I know him. I feel like Buddy the Elf when he saw Santa in that movie. I'm like, Santa, I know him. Like, I know that. And they're just so down to earth. Jermel, Jamal, Errol, I mean, Danny, just no egos, no like entitlement. They're just regular guys. They're just cool. They're my friends. It's wild, wild.
no, I get what you're saying. I won't
Mm-hmm.
say in what capacity I understand it, but like I understand what it's like to know someone
Yeah.
who the world deems like this is you really need to pay attention to their skill, and you go, oh, on Tuesday I play golf with that guy. Like
Right,
that's my
right,
buddy. Where like I like when I get off the phone with you, I'm actually gonna call a buddy like that because I'm dealing with a life crisis. But for the
right.
world, he's now a superstar. But for me, that's who I go to if I have a problem.
I mean, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy, crazy. But I get nervous watching all of them fight. And then also it's like, I do one of these, like, I don't want to miss what they're going to do because it's always something spectacular. The Charlos, especially.
Well, you know, it's Lions only, and when they fight, people must tune in because it's entertainment.
Yes, yes, yes. I mean, the power that those guys got, it's wild, insane.
Better ring outfit for their pay-per-view, Mel or Maul? The Chunky Donkeys or the what did Maul have? I forget.
I can't choose between them. They have I would say that they're like the most fashionable of the fighters too outside of the ring. Oh, I'm gonna get in trouble for that. But they are. I do. I think Maul and Mel have great fashion sense. Obviously, they're in GQ for a reason. But ring entrance, I don't know. I can't decide. I can't choose between them.
Okay, because I was impressed with Mel's Chunky Donkeys, but I'm sure Maul had a good outfit as well.
They always do. They always come. They're like, they have this eye, just they're very creative, like very, very fashion forward. So I I would I could never choose between those two. They're both they'd be the top of anyone's list anyway, I think. No
But
other fight cool as them, in or out of the ring.
as a promoter, does that kind of excite you? Working with someone that's so fashion forward, because a lot of times you just get the boring outfits and you're like, I mean, it's a great fight, but you kind of want maybe a little flair.
Yeah, because they make me step my game up, you know? So I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, I like it. Put me on to stuff. I like it.
That is true. I actually bought a hoodie because of the Charlo brothers. I saw them wearing it and I'm like, I got to get that hoodie. Like, I'm
I
even
see.
guilty of it.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, they're cool. They got it going on. They know what looks good and what's in style. Yeah, they're very versatile.
Okay, so to skip me just praising other men for a long period of time, let's go over to what emerging fighter under your stable of fighters are you looking forward to one day being in a main event?
That's a good one. I've been what Joey Spencer's been, out here doing his thing during his last couple PBC fights. He's someone to watch. I usually my answer to that would have been my Chris Primetime Colbert, but he just got his shot, and boy, he proved himself too. I like that I'm seeing all the kudos he's getting. And I guess I mean, there's so many of them. We have such like a lot of young guys right now too that are just up and coming. These FS1 shows, that's why I'm like, don't sleep on those shows. You gotta watch the FS1 shows, because these are the guys you're gonna watch move up, and you're gonna be talking about them. And you could be like, I saw him and called that, back in the day. So sometimes you get just the toughest, because they're trying to really prove themselves then too.
Well,
I'm
it's those FS. Oh, go ahead. No, I'm
No,
just talking. I'm just talking for the
the
sake of
Untitled
talking.
Brothers people to watch. They're going to be on this card this week too. Joey's got the whole look too, and he's got like that vibe. He's someone, and he's bigger. He's tough kid, good kid to watch. Stanonis has proven himself lately too. I mean, he's gotten the main event on a couple. But he's a badass to watch in the ring.
Back-to-back main events in like back-to-back months. That's kind of like
he's moving quick.
Yeah, that's that thing I was gonna say about Joey. I wonder how much Joey can deadlift, bench, and squat. Like, I know that's not related to boxing, but when I look at his body, I'm like, I wonder if he can lift 700 pounds combined. Like, that's just a thought that I always think.
I'm always like, how do you get so tan? Because I need to know. He's so tan all the time. It's like snowing. He's like tan. I'm like, what's going on? Where'd you go? What jeans? Need them.
That is an interesting take. I've never thought about that, but I feel like that's a take, like how some things on the internet, once you unsee it, or once you see it, you'll never unsee it. Once I think about that at Joey Spencer, I'm going to think he never is not tan.
Same with Triple G. He has like the most perfect tan all the time. I'm like, where are you getting tan? It's amazing.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever think of that about Triple G, but.
Well, yeah, you will. I'm telling you. It's, even one of the girls, though, Nancy, we were down there working today, and she was like, do you watch the Triple G fight? I was like, yeah, for a couple seconds I had it on, because Ray Flores was announcing. And she was like, how does he get so tan? I was like, I've been thinking the same thing for years.
And this is part of why I think there needs to be more female voices in boxing, because like these are observations like I actually think more people would like to hear, because like there's just a lot of dudes talking in boxing.
Yeah, I don't know if my commentary about his tan would go over so well, but it's true. He's got a great tan, gotta say it.
Okay, what's it like? I guess my question: you're a female executive in a brutally male-dominated sport.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, that's not. I guess maybe it's more common now, but it's not the most common. What's your experience been like with that? Because I think there's a lot of people throughout all walks of life that would like your insight on that.
I have to say, and like I've said this before, and I get that a lot, and I've never felt like I was treated any differently for being a woman or because I'm a woman. Like I said, someone once asked me, like, have you ever been disrespected? And I was like, yes, of course. But like any person in my job, male or female, would have been disrespected. When you're dictating someone's how many rounds they're going, how much money they're making, their contracts, of course they're gonna get angry and like, say some things. But as far as being what's this, Me Too, never had anything happen. I've had some people be condescending, but I think that's more because I'm young, not that I'm a woman. And then my attitude's always been a little bit different though, and not saying anything against the other women, but I have 3 brothers. I grew up in the Goossen family. It's a lot of men, a lot of alpha men too. My Uncle Joe, my Uncle Dan, my dad. There's just like, and they never treated me or any of my girl cousins like, that were less, because we were taught like, no sports, no this, no that, like speak your mind, do this. So maybe it's just my attitude that doesn't allow but I've been lucky, and I've never felt, I actually like it. I feel more comfortable probably being one of the only females. It's just what I know.
No, it's I feel like boxing finds anyone that ends up in boxing. Like
Yeah.
you don't just kind of like go into boxing. The sport finds itself, it finds a certain personality, it finds like an aggressive, stern, sometimes sarcastic, sometimes kind of a dick. That's the people that are gravitating towards it, and I can get an inherent toughness from you.
Yeah, it's innate toughness, I guess. But if you think about it, there's a lot of families involved in boxing, and it is like a, a generational thing. I mean, even from in all forms, think of the judges. You have Larry Hazard Jr., you know, from referees, there's a bunch that are family. You have, I mean, even Carla Kayas, you know, and her dad, like there's just so many on, that's just like the commission side and official side. And then you have my dad and me, you have my uncle, like my family, then the Gibbons, Sean Gibbons, Brendan Gibbons, they're doing the manager thing. You have Marcus Brandon, Sam Watson, family, Christian Gilmore and his dad are the stage managers. Like there's just so many generational groups in this that you're kind of like, all right. So boxing's in your blood. It's you're raised in it and you can't get it. You have a love for it and just can't get away from it.
Yeah, I wish I could break that pattern, but that's kind of like the same with me. So I mean, it does kind of feel like it's passed down. Like you're not gonna like it. That seems like a theme for modern boxing, at least.
It's so true. It's just, I mean, when my uncle passed away, we were cleaning out some files and even the names are just repeated over and over. It's the same people I deal with now. And I'm like, gosh, this is from like 87. And it's just, once you're in, you don't get out.
Okay.
It's hard to probably break into, but once you're in for life.
Well, that's a good thing to be in. What's your greatest boxing memory?
Oh gosh, my whole life.
Yeah, I'm a tough question asker, so you know.
For some reason, I always say, when I was in like, I guess I was 5th grade, it was like 97-ish, Mike Tyson. We had signed Mike Tyson and that was like big for our family, you know, because we were like more mom and pop type promotional.
Mid-major, like smaller.
It was, you know, it's just like a little, it was, and they did huge things. I mean, thank God for my family. I didn't ever have to like go through that struggle that they did. And I kind of got a little bit lucky and got in once they had already done all that. But we had Mike Tyson and we were like all in our like Be Real gear and we'd go to the gym. The MGM had like a daycare at the time. So we'd go to the daycare during the day and Francois Botha, he was fighting Botha and his kids were in the daycare with us. And I remember being like really torn because I was like, I really like his kids. Like they're really fun, but like, I really want his dad to like their dad to get knocked out like tomorrow night, you know? So it was like, just what a weird thing for like a 10-year-old to like, just be, I mean, I was just always around it. I was always in that atmosphere at MGM, that the same thing. It's just what I know. So I don't know that I have like any memories from my childhood and like vacations and stuff that weren't boxing centered. It was just always around boxing.
But I think that's what makes you is like you're so used to it. Like your life is this is who you are.
I mean, yeah, it's always, even our family vacations were because of a fight. We'd all go, and those were fun because it was like my Uncle Dan's kids were there that we'd play with. My Uncle Joe would be, you know, have a fighter on the card, and all his daughters and his son Nick would be there, and my brothers, we thought it was like the most fun ever because we just get to like run around Vegas or wherever we were and have a good time. So those are our like family memories. It's just, I see boxing, I see like my family. So of course it's just, it brings back good memories, happy memories.
No, that's good. I think as a human being, there's nothing more fulfilling than finding work that brings back good memories or finding anything that brings back good memories.
Yeah. And it's like, I see the same, you know, I've known Abel Sanchez since he always says, since you were 4 years old. And I'm like, I know, how crazy. Like, it's a big family reunion every time we have a big fight. And you see, I mean, just now I just saw Samson for the first time in so long. And I'm like, I haven't seen you in so long. I've known you forever too. And just, I know I couldn't hug him because, you know, we have to keep the distance.
6 feet.
6 feet, yeah. But it really is, I always say boxing's like a loving, dysfunctional family.
And at times you can leave out the loving. Like in certain instances that the love is lost, but for the most part, I'd say it's loving.
We'll just say it's a dysfunctional family with some love.
I think that's a better description. I think that more adequately suits the nature of the beast.
Yeah, it depends, you know. But I mean, even when we did this last fight with Deontay and Tyson in what was that, February?
February 22nd, I know because I was there and I had a horse in the race, so I know because of that. But yeah.
I mean, it feels like it was like 4 years ago at this point, but we did that with Top Ring, and it was like so smooth and so easy. And I've known Dina and Todd Duboff since I was like, I mean, since I was born. I've been around them. They too, they're Bob Arum, you know, they grew up in it as well. So it's just like, it's a big reunion. No matter if I can go to any fight and I will know someone there. And that's like, I think everyone kind of has that in the boxing business. And it's just like it's a comfortable feeling. It's a good feeling.
Well, like there's a certain level of authenticity if you've lived it or if you've ever been at a certain place where you'll either know someone or the language you speak is what other people who are at the same level as you speak.
Right.
So it's like no matter, even if for some reason you didn't see people, either who you are or how you speak will allow you to know someone new.
Yeah. It was fun. All those road trips were fun. It was fun. It was a good role. I'm confident we'll be back. We'll be back with some fans and extra. We're moving now. We're getting through this. We're figuring it out. So we've already done a couple shows with fans. The shows last weekend seemed to go well with the fans. One in Texas, one in Florida. Like we're inching toward it. We're getting there.
No, it's great. And
normal.
I appreciate that you're also not ramping up. You're looking at it. It looks like you're seeing how it goes, check in, and if you can, allow the fans to get in. But it looks like you're being very precautious or like adhering to safety standards. And it's not just rushing just to get the fans back, but to make sure that the fans are safe as well as can enjoy the fights.
Right. That the fans are safe and that our fighters are safe. But it does add a nice touch. I mean, it does make a difference when the fans are there and it makes a difference to the guys too, you know, hearing that in the crowd. Sometimes at these shows you get like a big knockout and like, it's just quiet. It's kind of strange, you know, because it's part of the fun of it too. So
it's like someone getting knocked out in sparring. It gets awkward because like whenever I've seen someone get knocked out in sparring, the first thing I do is look away. Like, oh, I didn't see you get knocked out. Like that's like the go-to move is like half of the gym is looking the other way and then they look back like, oh, did you fall? That's what these fights sometimes feel like.
I know, but you know, little by little, look, it's happening. We're seeing signs. The light is there. I see a light at the end of the tunnel. We're getting it back. I think we're going to be okay. We're going to be back in a media center, hopefully sometime sooner than later.
Last two things, and then I'll let you go back to being a professional, responsible adult and not just sitting on a conference call with me. Now, hey, I gave you that title, okay? So you can't, that would be very disrespectful if you take that away. Sell me on this card. It's the day after Christmas. People can't, if you're in California, shelter in place. You can't go out anyway. Why are they tuning into this card? Sell me on it.
Card too. There's a lot of fights. We got the FS1 lead in, so you don't want to miss out. We got the Barrientos brothers on there. Carlos Balderas, are you familiar with him?
We just had him on today. Mi hermano, Carlos Balderas.
Okay. All right. So you guys are already familiar, it seems.
That's my bro in Spanish. Hey, I had to translate it, you know, because
no, I got my Spanish now at this point, but so that lead in just on FS1 alone is going to be something to watch. And then we go into the Fox show, which my Uncle Joe will be, you know, commentating again. So
with Lennox Lewis, the biggest human being ever, or no?
Yeah, I love Lennox. He's a good guy. He and my
He
uncle are
always
like,
scares me.
they're
He's
like the
like,
odd couple, just blah, 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 bicker the whole time. Yeah, he scares you?
well, because it's like a 6'5" guy that when I was like a growing man, that was the
Yeah.
guy that beat up my hero, Mike Tyson.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
when I was a kid, I wanted Mike Tyson to go to school with me because I was getting picked on. So then people would be like, "Oh,
Oh,
this guy's your friend. Okay, we can be friends with you." So like that was like my goal. And then Lennox knocked out Mike, and I'm like, "Oh man, that's a big ass."
oh no. Dash your dreams.
Well, it was like my dreams have been dashed with Holyfield, but like I'd hung on hope as a growing adult, and like I'd never really put any adults after my heroes had failed me like on a pedestal. Like, oh yeah, this guy's that guy. But you still hold on to a little bit of your childishness until
Yeah.
someone steps on it and completely ruins it. And Lennox Lewis was like the foot on my childhood when he knocked out Mike Tyson.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry about that, but he's a really good commentator. He's
He
doing
is.
great. So he's so like he seems like he'd be this like big scary guy. He's actually like one of the nicest people. You know his accent. He's just so sweet. I love Onyx. So but then when we go into the Fox show, you have Jesus Ramos. Have you
Yeah,
familiar with
no,
him?
I mean, like, I'm a shit-eating wild man. Like, I know I follow boxing, like on
Yeah.
BoxRec and stuff. And I think you got Marky Hernandez. Is he on? Is
Yep.
Marky versus Alentes Fox, the freakishly tall guy that like
Yeah. So we had his. I don't know. I'm might be wrong. I'm assuming, but I think his brother was on a card recently too.
Mike Fox?
Mike Fox, right? Yeah, and I think that they went back to back not too long ago, or it could have been long ago. I don't remember anymore. All these months of just
We're getting a little crazy, but it's okay. You're like this.
yeah.
It's kind of like we're on house arrest.
That is exactly what it's like, especially in California. It's been real lockdown. But and then just now I just checked in with Montiel. He's on the card too, who's always it's always good to watch. He's puts on a show, so he's with
Against
Samson
Kirkland.
against Kirkland. Yep.
I feel like
So oh,
how's Kirkland fight week? I feel like the fans like he's a fan favorite. Who's is it just a normal fight week when Kirkland's in the building?
yeah. I mean, right now this is so different with everyone. Like this is my first time really interacting with everyone in the bubble too. So it feels like fight week, but also you can tell it just I don't know.
I get
It's
what you're saying. It feels like a
yeah,
conference. Like you're going, it feels like an
yeah,
AERA conference. You're checking in. I give you the badge, sit in your room. The conference is tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Show up. It doesn't
right.
feel like you don't feel like the vibrant energy.
Yeah, it definitely and everyone's kind of like no one these guys they've been training for so long, they don't want to screw up by hugging someone here or get just risking anything. So definitely you could feel that it's a little bit different, but then there's parts of it that you're like, oh god, I feel at home again. It's like a fight week, and just this is going to be a good card. It's stacked. So let's
Just
just we got to get through a good weigh-in. That's always the worst day for these poor guys. I feel so bad for them. And then
if I was a promoter, I'd be so nervous on the weigh-ins because I'd be like, please don't miss weight by like 7 pounds.
it's happened, but we kind of keep an eye on it before we get to the scale, so we kind of like have a heads up a little bit. Sometimes I really don't. Sometimes I'm really thrown off, but like for them, these guys have been pretty professional, and they know that they have to come in on weight. It sucks. It's got to be not that much fun it's holiday season. Like this is like cookies and hot chocolate time. So I feel they'll celebrate after. I'll make sure everyone gets cookies after the fight.
Were you involved with the fight where F.A. Ajagbe fought the guy and the guy left the ring? Was that under TGB?
Yeah, in
How much
Minnesota.
of a nightmare was that?
That was the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life. I was in the office upstairs. We had like a little office. I was like finishing some checks, and
I
like
see you.
I heard the Ray announce they're in the ring, the bell rings, and then like I kind of just glanced over to see like how they feel each other out, and he was like walking out, and I was just like, wait, what? Like I didn't even I didn't know what was. I was like, did something happen? Like, did you know? So I got down there really quickly, and they're like, God, his wife, you know, they were coming up to me and they're like, we read the rules. And if you stay with the bell, and I was like, you read the rules? Like, this was planned? Like, this is, why even waste our time and go through all this? I mean, I think he tried to get tough with me in the back. And I was like, now you want to get tough? You know, now you want to fight? Like, I mean, but that was bizarre. I think everyone was like, what the heck was that? What was that? I mean,
I can't imagine the feeling of that, because your obligation is to put on fights, but also enjoyable fights. And then here's this fight where you're assuming this is a good fight. The guy has this resume, and then you're like, what the hell?
and he couldn't have chosen a place with like a longer walk. Like the walkout was like that runway stage. So it was just like really, it was like, what the, because it was a long walk back to like his locker room that everyone was just like, what just happened? Like, I don't even, I don't think I could I didn't have words because I just didn't even understand. At first I thought he was like, something happened, like maybe he hurt himself. And I was like, nothing happened. The bell just rang. Like he couldn't have, because I'm an injury. That guy was straight up like, see ya, and got out of there. So yeah, you won't see him on any of our cards moving forward. So ever again.
He did like a joke you'd tell your friend at the barbershop. He did that in real life.
Yeah, I was not pleased with that. That was not good. That was not good. The memes that were made after that too were actually kind of funny, but like that was just a weird. Everyone in the truck were just like, what happened? It's like, what was that? But then he, has to buy me for his check, and that wasn't.
That probably was one of those. There's a book in education leadership called Difficult Conversations that I often refer people to. I feel like that would have been a chapter in Difficult Conversations.
It was a very easy conversation for me.
I think the difficult conversation might have been the person trying to solicit a check from the person that's trying to pay them when they didn't provide service.
Because I was like, well, for what? Then, that's when he kind of, I was like, wrong time to get tough, buddy. You had your chance.
And my final thing, because I'm so cognizant of your time, is what are your tips or anything, because we're going through the putting on weight season and all this stuff. You stay in great shape. What is your tip for kind of fitness? Because I think a lot of people, you're going to see it January 1st. I'm going to hit the gym harder than ever. Yeah. It's obvious you stay in shape. It's obvious you're on the road. What are some things you do to stay motivated on your fitness journey?
God, it is just finding the motivation too, and consistency. Like you just have to stick to it, and you have to do, it's an everyday battle too for me sometimes, especially lately, because I'm like, what's the point? I live in sweatpants now, and I'm on the couch all day, and cookies are good, but you just have to make it a habit until it becomes routine. And I took a little bit of a break, but I'm back and getting crazy because I was like, no. Was the minute the pants start fitting a little tight, you got to turn things around. So, and being around all these guys, this is inspiration. I mean, COVID or no COVID, they have six packs. I'm like, where were you guys? Gyms weren't even open. There's no excuses pretty much. So
what's your go-to move? I feel like you're a kettlebell person. I feel like you swing a kettlebell.
No. I don't even do exercises like that. I do cardio bar religiously. Like cardio bar, it's this little studio out in Valley Village. I think they had a few locations, but Francesco, he runs like a crazy. So it's like ballet infused cardio.
Okay.
And it's the only thing that I actually like. It clears my mind. You get to listen to good music, and I've been making.
It's fine. I just thought you were like, you don't get to see me.
Oh yeah, I'm doing it in my living room for the last couple months, but that's what we have to do now in LA at least. So, and again, no excuses. If these guys can make it through a pandemic and have a six pack, we can all use their dedication as a motivation.
Well, for me, like, and not to make this about me, but shit, I'm selfish, so I'm gonna make it about me. Is I like to run because it clears my mind. You know,
There you go.
it's
That too. That too. There's already so much going on, and like that we just can't. We have no control over at the moment. That like that's kind of a nice, just escape it for a little bit.
yeah. And then I like the clang gang because I like to feel like, I like to feel like I got a little muscle on the bird cage. I don't want to be walking around looking like, a coat hanger. So you got to
Yeah.
hit
Well,
that clang gang.
there you go.
You
I
know.
mean, the thing that sucks now though is because I like to get outside a little bit in this, but like it's so dark so early that and cold, and I'm not a fan of that. But well, summer will be here soon.
Well, I'm about to run in the dark and I'm looking forward to falling because when I
Oh,
run at night, I always fall. But it's like tonight, I definitely need it. It's like a foot placement thing. I can break down the science of it because I'm very analytical and I study myself for whatever reason. But it has to do with I have a high arch and then I tend to like the pronation of my foot pattern when it's
oh,
later and like if I don't see like a driveway, like my foot can go like that and I can tip.
oh no. Well, be careful. Maybe you need knee pads or something. Maybe a helmet when you run. You know,
Honestly, falling doesn't hurt that bad. Like I feel like falling and like a lot of things in life, like it's not desirable, but it's really not as bad as people say it is.
just as long as you get back up, right?
Well, I mean, you gotta. That's like a fight. Like if I fall running, it's like okay, I fell. I'm gonna stop. No, you
Yeah,
you still do your miles. It's like annoying. It's like I shouldn't have done that.
quite a metaphor.
I know. I wanted to finish this out poetically. Do you even want people to follow you on social media, or do you want them just to follow the company itself? I don't know
Well,
how you go.
I mean, my page is boring. I don't really post much. You get to see what I make, what I bake, and what I cook. I mean, that's about. If you want the boxing content, it's definitely TGB Promotions, the one with two S's because there's a few. But
That's
and
tight.
myself, I do Brit_GB. So if I could lead you to the right TGB Promotions page, I sometimes repost that, but